Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why I'm looking at the camera. This is an audio recorded podcast, but I've got Ray here on the big screen, and I'm so excited for today's conversation. Y'all, welcome back to another episode of 747 Conversations. It's your host, Chris Schembra. And today, you're in for a treat. If you're a current subscriber to our podcast, thanks for coming back. You know, we're going to talk all about gratitude and some pretty cool stories of how people have used gratitude to overcome adversity, to create connection with others, and how it's impacted their leadership style. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. You've arrived to our weird, unique little corner of the world. If you look through previous episodes, you'll see we like to bring on great leaders who have amazing human stories to tell. All right, in the world that we live in today, we're filled with a lot of lonely, unfulfilled, disconnected people. So many people hiding in plain sight, wishing, craving more genuine human connection. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, feel free to do so right now. And keep your ears open to what's going to be a meaningful conversation. We're not going to be talking go-to-market strategies here today. We're not going to be talking how to raise your first $1 billion for your company. No, we're going to have a good heart-to-heart conversation. Today, I've got a repeat guest. Today's guest was, I think, our second episode ever. And here we are, 190-something episodes deep. We've brought on Fortune 50 CEOs, Academy Award winners, Grammy Award winners, Super Bowl champions, and more. It's been one hell of a good ride. Today, we have my dear friend Ray, who, by the way, at night is Doris Deer. Yes, the photo of the podcast artwork does not lie to you. This is a very entertaining man. He's had a 41-year career at the top of show business. TV host on national programs, radio host, podcast host, senior producer for some of the most entertaining pieces of content you've seen out there. The list is too long to name. He does a one-woman show about his mother, Doris Deer, a MAC award-winning one-man, one-woman show that makes people cry, laugh, sing, and everything in between. He's a man of and for the people. And oh, by the way, I reached back out to Ray because he's a man who's inspired a great deal of freedom and confidence in my life. Years ago, we had a conversation on our podcast, and it helped me go one step deeper in my own understanding of self and sexuality and identity and everything in between. And in the middle of the pandemic, he took it up a notch. And I'll let him tell you about his new image and how he walks about the town, all 6'8" of him in heels and high heels and hair. But it's inspired a new depth, which I hope to go to today, of my own image and sexuality and awareness and connection with others. And you're going to hear about that right here in my podcast. I'm open about it. I got a lot of cool things going on in my life with my girlfriend, Molly. We have a very progressive relationship, brave, courageous, wise woman. And you're in for a special treat. This isn't a boring business conversation today, that's for sure. Ray, welcome to the fucking podcast.
Hi, Mr. Chris. Welcome to the fucking podcast.
Now,
or
Ray,
as Doris would say, welcome, my darling, to a fabulous, fabulous podcast.
you have to be Doris for the next 30 minutes.
Oh, God.
Now, Ray, you know the shtick. We always have to open with the signature gratitude question.
Yes.
And for the folks that are just tuning in for the first time, we've had a habit of gathering wonderful individuals over the last 6 years, whether it be 20 people in our home, a couple thousand people on the road, and all the experiences are centered around a specific topic. Topic is gratitude. And all of our work revolves around a simple question, the same question we asked at the very first dinner we ever produced on July 15th, 2015. So I asked that question here today for Ray to kick us off here today. Ray, if you could give credit or thanks to one person in your life that you don't give enough credit or thanks to, that you've never thought to thank, who would that be?
Oh boy. I have to say, I often feel like I often feel like there's just so many people that deserve credit for my life, that the list is so long that there's not enough time in the day. I think the last time I was on, we talked about those tiny little pebbles that hit the water. And 40 years later, you realize that tidal wave like washed me on a new shore.
Mm-hmm.
And I just came back. It's so funny that we're doing this right here, right now. The last time we spoke, a gentleman from, for those who don't know, at 19 years old, I quit college because I got an offer to work for Walt Disney World to represent the company as a singer, performer, a Mouseketeer, Kid of the Kingdom show times there. It was something I never thought I would do. And I'm 42 years later, a full-time in this crazy business known as entertainment. But we talked about how right that day of that podcast that we did, a gentleman reached out to me. He finally decided to go on Facebook, which he a week later removed himself because social networks was too overwhelming for him. And he was a person that was, for a 19-year-old gay kid in 1979, he was a handsome straight guy. We did characters together at Walt Disney World. He was kind. He befriended me. And it was one of those ripples that gave me an acceptance into this group of people that 40 years later, I realized how much that affected me as a person on a positive level. A guy who I knew for maybe 6, 7, 8 months or a year or something. And then he moved on, graduated college, went on to whatever. And here I was like, and now I come back from 3 days of a 40th reunion of the 10th celebration of Walt Disney World. And it's their 50th anniversary weekend. And we were the 10th anniversary. It was a time that Disney saw something in me. I was assistant choreographer. I was an integral part of bringing these kids, all 19 years old, like moving them from California to do parades and celebrate. It was the largest celebration Disney had ever done. I think they have never had one. We hired 300 people for a parade. And here we are 40 years later, and I flew down and I saw people I have not seen in literally for 40 years. And I had a lot of trepidation. I wasn't sure. I moved up the ranks of that entertainment world through Walt Disney World, and then was told I wasn't good enough or it wasn't my time anymore, and I was let go. It's what being an entertainer is about. But this was the only job I ever had. I didn't understand. So 40 years ago, there was a lot of bad feelings for me as I walked out those Magic Kingdom gates, handed them my ID and said goodbye. The feelings were tough. You don't forget that. You don't forget. I was a kid. I was barely 25 years old. I was a kid. I didn't think I was a kid, but I was a kid. And when you think back on it, 40 years ago, those feelings are still there. I mean, yeah, I'm an adult. I grow up. It doesn't necessarily force me to think a certain way. But when I think about those times, that's there. It's there. It sits there, right? That was my last experience working for Walt Disney World, was being told I wasn't good enough. So I went back, and the admiration I received, the stories of how I affected these people's lives, how I changed these people's lives, how my kindness, consideration, my knowledge, how these kids who were about 2 years younger than me looked up to me, wanted to be me. I'm going to get really emotional. It fills me with such a sense of humanity about myself, such a sense of feeling that gratitude from other people toward me. And it's beautiful. It's a gift humanity sometimes we never give each other. It's what you preach. And to be told thank you for just being me. I was just being me, because I've never known how to be anything but me. Okay, on stage, I'm an actor, but it's debatable how good I am. But to be thanked just for being who you are, and especially back then at a time where I didn't necessarily know who I was. I was trying to figure that out and scared that I wasn't doing the right things. But to be given this gratitude and love and thanks after all that time, it was such a beautiful, amazing weekend for me that I'm so happy I went down and celebrated with these people and received an amazing gift. Yeah.
Wow. Folks, did you feel that?
Yeah. That's why I'm having a cocktail right now.
Ray, it sounds like you have never thought to thank the people who closed the door on you, who fired you, who told you that they didn't accept you, and now you go back and you get to give gratitude to the people giving gratitude to you.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You were unaccepted by you were unaccepted by 1% of that entire team, 0.1% of that entire team, but you were loved and thanked by 99.9% of that entire team.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was a supervisor, her name is Darlene. And Darlene, when I went down, was my original supervisor. I was brought down. I was doing characters and then subbing all the Kid of the Kingdoms and all the entertainment shows. And then I moved up the ladder. And she believed in me. She pushed me to be better, to do more, and to never be afraid and not listen to the voices around me that wanted to squelch me and keep me down. And when I went down, she retired from the company after, I think, almost 50 years of work. And they won't be able to see this, but wait, you can. She's a master quilter, and she made me and gifted me. I went to see her. I'm going to stand. I'm going to show you this. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see
I
it.
can't even see that.
Can you? I don't know if you can.
It's
This
beautiful.
amazing quilt.
Oh my gosh.
It's this like amazing, amazing quilt. She handcrafted this beautiful. I mean, and to me, people who sit with a needle and thread and stitch and create and give it to you, not to hang on a wall, but to wrap around yourself
Mm-hmm.
when you need it, to wash it and wear it and use it and make it a part of you. That is like such a beautiful ultimate gift.
It sounds like her gratitude was rooted in a feeling and in an emotion of of a, a time when your relationship was present in the moment. You two were together through many challenging moments, and she felt that, and she internalized that, and she was intrinsically motivated to share her gratitude.
Yeah.
Now here's the question: when human beings have such emotion and authentic feelings within, why don't we share that emotion sooner? Why does it sometimes take people 40 years to tell people what they truly mean? And how do we overcome that? Because that's not unique to this story.
No, I think it's because people are scared of rejection. I think so much in our life is based on rejection and the feeling that if we put our honesty and truth out there, that will be rejected, and that cuts very hard. And look, in the entertainment business as an actor, rejection is 80% of our life is rejection. And you have to have a very strong character and base to be able to do that for your entire life. And I mean, I'm not a movie star making, Marvel movies and getting paid 20, 30, 40, 70 million dollars. I'm an everyday guy working hard and have been able to work for 42 years with some higher success and lower success, and it constantly changes. And as actors, we get, rejected all the time, and you just sort of stick it in the mail slot and then pull something out of the other mail slot to get to the next one. Because sometimes you got to listen to it 8 times a day, but it only takes one. It only takes that one, and then you go, see, I am good. I am good at what I do. And I think on a personal level, when you expose yourself, when you expose your truth, whether it's you're exposing your truth to yourself or to the people around you, you risk being rejected. And nobody wants that. And I think that, especially now with social networks, you could put up, I love lemons, and it could be a 4-day fight fest with people about effing lemons. I mean, come on. Like, so ridiculous. They're so bitter. How could you say they're good? Like, it's like, so it could be so crazy, right? So I think people have become even more so afraid to really expose themselves. And we're also in a cancel culture, and I think it can be very tough if you get caught saying or doing the wrong thing. There's a part of that I kind of agree with. I get hate spewed at me because of the way I'm living my life right now. And when someone throws hate at me on Instagram, I post it. Mm-hmm. I post them and their content to let the world really see them and not keep it isolated, hidden in the 80th comment on a picture. Like, oh no, okay, you felt free to come on over and throw hate. Well, now I'm throwing it out to the world.
How are you living your life right now? What makes people threatened by it?
So, you know, we talked a lot in the last podcast, and everyone should go back and listen to it because it is
It was phenomenal.
absolutely marvelous. It is on my website at dorisdeer.com.
Yes.
That's DORISDEAR.com.
Yes.
Under the press section, there's a link to it. But we talked at great a lot about how my character, for those who aren't understanding right now, I do drag. The drag character is known as Doris Deer. It's based on my mother who died of Alzheimer's. It's basically I play my mother's daughter. She's taught me everything so I can be America's next perfect housewife. And that's sort of where it was created 7 years ago. And it's grown into like 80 to 90% of my career. And I love it. It's the most amazing work I've ever been able to do, both for myself and for the success I've gotten out of it. And then right before COVID, my husband, I've been with my husband 16 years, Jim, said my sister and her husband, my sister Nancy and her husband who lived in Jersey, they would go to Florida for 2 or 3 months every year. They would always tell us, come down, visit. And I was like, oh, I'll see you when you're back. And my sister was another, like, we have a very close knit family. She was my best friend, my defender. Like, you know, she was just everything. And Jim said, we need to go see your sister. Let's go down. I'm going to book us a flight. And I was like, oh, I could see her in Jersey. He's like, no, I think we should go see her. There's something, we should go see her. So we flew down. We spent a week. It was an amazing week. I remember her daughter's grown and now successful. We were walking around the lake where they were on the east coast of Florida. And she said to me, I made it through double mastectomy, breast cancer, heart attacks, and everything else. And here I am. I have never been happier. Life is unbelievable. And we got on a plane. We flew out. And about 24 hours later, I got a call from her husband, said, you have to come back. Your sister's gone.
Fuck.
And it was devastating. Someone said to me once, what's it like being an orphan? My answer is it's really fucked up. We went down. She got a headache. She laid down on the couch. She started throwing up. They called the ambulance. She passed out, went into a coma, and was gone. And they kept her alive long enough for us to get down there. What really sucks about those moments is you end up down in a hospital looking at a person who's not really there, but they've kept alive so you can say goodbye. And they look terrible. They're swollen. They've shaved half her head. And I hate that that's the last image I get of her, this beautiful, amazing woman. But I'm glad we got down and we got to say goodbye. And then COVID hit. But when I talk about it to people, we always know that sooner or later your parents are going to go. For the most part, your parents will probably go before you because they're going to get old. They're much older. They get old. You expect that. You know what? As sad as it always is, at one point you will lose your parents. I didn't expect to lose my sister who was 64 years old. I mean, that wasn't something. And she had been through all this other stuff and come through. And it was just out of nowhere. And it's another moment where I look at my life and reevaluate my life because it's a big reminder that we have no idea what the next hour is even going to bring us. So you better be able to say, an hour ago, I was living my best moment as best as I could. And look, obviously none of us are perfect. Not every moment can be our best, but you know what I mean? I mean, look, I've been an out gay man my entire life. As my dad said, I don't think you ever knew how to be in. So, you know, I mean, I was wearing my mother's heels when I was like just walking. So, I mean, I really thought about it, and it's now in the present day, we have such discussion about gender. What is gender? Is gender a cellular, genetic? Is it a thing? So gender is literally a social construct. It's just made up. It's not anything else. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It has nothing to do with what's inside. Gender is made up. When you say blue is for boys and pink is for girls, that's making clothing gender specific. That is a total social construct, because there are plenty of guys who love pink and damn well look good in it. Plenty of girls like blue. Like it's a social construct. And throughout my life, and I do consider myself gay, although now I call myself non-binary, because throughout my life, there are moments where I feel like the more feminine side of me is very strong. And then there are days where I feel the more masculine side of me is very strong. And it's always been that way, and have always gone back and forth. And as a kid, very confusing. It never changed my sexuality, because gender and sexuality are very separate things. They're two very, very separate things. So you can be a straight man who wears heels, hose, dresses, makeup, whatever, carries a purse, and be married to a woman and not want to have sex with a man in any way, shape, or form. It's just that's what he likes to wear. So, I mean, as a child, it was confusing. And as an adult, even more confusing. So I realized that my truth is that there are days where I want to allow the more feminine side of me out. And in not necessarily a drag, because the drag thing I do for me has always been a character. Mm-hmm. It's an acting. It's acting. It's my show thing. It's very separate. I don't necessarily want to walk. It's so much work to put on that corset and everything. My God, I can't wait to take it off. But there are days where I just want to present in a more what traditionally people would say feminine clothes. And mm-hmm. other days I want to appear in more masculine clothes. And when my sister passed like that, I realized it was about time to be truthful, to truly be truthful about that part of me. And I sat with my partner and I said, you know, I've always liked to wear this stuff at certain times. I've always sort of kept it in a darker space, but I feel I need to present publicly however I feel. And a big part of that is I want to wear high heels. I want to wear hose, sometimes a skirt, not fully in drag, because that's not what it's about for me. And he just looked at me and said, okay, so what? Like, and you know, you're ready for the whole, and this is why, you know. And he just basically said, I know who you are. I know what's the most important thing about, I know your soul. I know your heart. I know your love. I don't care. You look great in everything you wear. You got great legs. Show them off. You know? And by the way, I do have great legs.
I mean, you're literally 6'5" before you put on high heels.
Yeah. I know. So, I mean, that's it. I probably own 60 pair of heels. I am now a so-called influencer where companies send me heels and expensive Italian hosiery that is absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, you can look me up I'm on Instagram. He wears heels and hose. There I am. I also have Doris Deer and my cosplay. I mean, I'm all over the map, but it's just how I feel. And, I went to the airport in heels and hose, people. And I can't tell you, I would say 99% of the time, I have straight big dudes come up to me and said, man, you look amazing. Which is fantastic. So my husband and I, we went on a cruise a week ago. First cruise, it opened up, everyone vaxxed, safe. I wore heels and hose on formal night, and this guy comes down the stairs laughing and pointing at me. Why do you dress like that? And I said, because I look good and I have great legs. And he looked at me and stopped and then went, oh my God, you do. You're awesome. I felt like saying, why do you dress like a hobo? It's formal night. You're in like cut off shorts and a t-shirt. Like what? And then when it bothered, like on the rare occasion that someone says like, you look ridiculous. I go like, why does it bother you so much? Why does a pair of shoes bother you so much? It's just a pair of shoes. Just a pair of shoes. Why are you so wigged out by a pair of shoes? Like, give me a break. But we know the answer because it has something to do with their inner soul, their inner thought, their inner mind. It's hitting on something they don't want to hit on.
Yeah.
Right. It's hitting a thought that they have never dealt with and they don't want to. So they lash out. And that's what people do on Instagram. They occasionally, do the throw up in, emoji and disgusting and like, what? Come on, throw the hate somewhere else, buddy. Because
it's not about you.
I'm living my best life. How about you? Yeah. So it's,
how do we get people to acknowledge that we actually have more in common than we have differences?
Well, ain't that a question? I mean, as much as we're different, we're all the same, aren't we? Because when you get down to it, we're just human beings. Whatever our color, whatever our sexuality, whatever our gender. I mean, I speak a lot because a part of what I do is also, when I go out dressed like I do get dressed, it's because I feel that's how I want to dress today. But there is also that side of me that is out to prove a point. I mean, it's kind of because I am, as was affirmed this past weekend, that you said you had great leaders on the show, and I never in my life thought I was a leader ever. It's not why I do anything. I just live my life. And apparently I'm a leader. I don't know how the hell that happened. Because it was never a goal. But a lot of people come up to me and say, I don't get all this gender stuff. I don't get the they, them. Like, why does anybody need to do that? And I go, okay, let me just put it this way. Your name's Charles, right? Your parents name you Charles. Someone says, hey, Charlie. And you say, I don't really like being called Charlie. I like being called Charles. And what do you say? Okay, I'll call you Charles. And they look at me like, what? I go, well, so if someone says, I want to be called they, what's the big deal? Or if you knew me as Ray and I show up one day looking with beautiful tatas and hips and long hair and nail, and I say, I'm now Ramona. I don't know.
A Latin Ray. Yeah.
then just turn around and say, okay, Ramona, there you go. Like, what's the big deal? And let's just dissect for a minute the they. This is the use of the pronoun they is not new. In the 1960s, I think it was like the late 60s, I think it was, there was a woman, head of the education department in Chicago, who in the late 1960s, I believe it was, gave a speech and said, we need to start using the pronoun they, because there are too many people that don't fit what we consider a normal binary. And using the pronoun they would solve all the problems. It was the late 60s. They has been in use and been around for even longer than that. This is not new. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who don't get it and get over it. Just ask people what they want to be called and then just accept it. It has nothing to do with you. It's called being a kind human being.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
The empathy gap, right? Empathy is, the art of imaginatively stepping into the shoes of another person, understand their feelings and perspectives, and using that knowledge to guide your action. We've been programmed to live in a me society instead of a we society. Rene Descartes, the great Frenchman from so long ago, his Cartesian age of I think, therefore I am really threw us down a bad path, right? Mm-hmm. And all the gurus promoting individualism is just created a lack of being able to understand how to serve others and the feelings and perspectives of others, right? That's what makes you such a good leader, is your ability and capacity to empathize with others and serve them in that capacity, right? You do it through your art, you do it through conversation, and that's, to me, what makes a great leader. Someone who's, someone with great humility, someone that can acknowledge the benefits they've received from others. Those are qualities that make a phenomenal leader in my specific vision.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that for the most part, I mean, again, I never said, oh, I want to be a leader. I want to lead. Like, I don't generally jump into that space, but most of my decisions are usually made by the thought of, I've been treated bad at times in my life, and I never want to do that to anybody. Mm-hmm. So how can I be better? Mm-hmm. How can I be better than what was done to me? And, I work a lot at SAG-AFTRA, which is, for those who don't know, is the Actors Union for Television, Film, Radio. And we're going in convention. I was actually elected again to be one of the representatives for New York. And 2 years ago at the convention, I was part of a resolution we put together about sexual harassment. And I was been sexually harassed on sets many times. I was fired from a major network because I complained about sexual harassment and went to court, and at a time when that was unheard of. Like 25 years ago. And when it passed unanimously and everybody stood up and clapped, I went up to the president of the union, Gabrielle Carteras, who everyone probably knows from 90210. She was the smart one in the glasses. She was our president. She just stepped down. And I thanked her. I said, I just thank you for backing this. And I said, I just don't want young actors who are coming into this business have to put up with the behavior and abuse that I put up with. And if I can protect them and we can protect them in any way, shape, or form, I'll make sure we do it, because no one should have to put up with that kind of crap and that kind of treatment. And that's kind of how just I make my decisions whenever I end up in that leadership position at the top of the table and think, how the fuck did I get here? I just think, how do I want to be treated? How did I want to be treated? And I want to make sure that I never go down the road, no matter if I'm having a shit day or a good day. I just always want to make sure I respect people. It doesn't mean you don't disagree, because I always say disagreements are actually great, because that's where great thinking comes from, right? That's where great creative decisions and thinking comes from disagreement, because I have this strong perspective that I believe in, and then someone else has a different strong perspective, and then you push that together, and in the end, you can end up with this glorious, amazing thing that came from several people. That's when the best creative things happen for me. So it's always an interesting journey, for sure.
We always used to say in one of our plays, it's from hardship and hard work that creativity grows and flourishes.
Absolutely.
So it's a good solution through adversity, and gratitude inspires further creativity and innovation, because it develops a posture of otherness. When you acknowledge benefits you've received, you get into the habit of saying, oh, someone else might have an idea that's better than mine. I should probably listen.
Yeah. And I think when you accept gratitude and you're an open person, because you have to accept gratitude, you have to realize that you have to open the door and accept life in a different way, because with the gratitude also comes kind of some bad stuff too. Sometimes that door is open and not the right kind of stuff comes through, and you have to be able to deal with that. So I'm actually turning 63 on Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. But if you could see me now, I don't look it. Because I have a really good dermatologist. But like at this point in my life, I like when I feel someone in the room that I just feel like the energy is just all wrong, and I'm looking to look, and it's about work or my creative work happening. I have to remove it, because I just don't have time I don't have time for nonsense in my life. And too much nonsense is about ego and the I need this, I kind of stuff. Like, girl, really? Move on. Like, come on. Really? Go put your lashes on in the other room, because I don't have time for you today. Like, it's just too much. Like, like you're not going to get any, like, I just don't have time for it. It wastes too much time, and time anymore is so precious, especially in COVID. Come on, we've been living alone for a year and a half. It's like crazy. So I really only want to have sort of a positive, energizing energy around me when I'm doing my work, and also in my personal life, especially in my personal life. So,
Ray, this has been fun.
Awesome.
What came up for you today as we start to close out?
It's look, everybody out there has been through something. I think it's been an interesting year and a half, right? The world shut down. We were forced to go inside and live with ourselves. We lost several people to COVID right away. Several friends died. We lost a neighbor to suicide, who couldn't get through it. We were forced as a society, as an entire world, to be with ourselves and really look at ourselves. And sometimes that's not a pretty picture, And for me, it fueled so much in my life. It fueled a new creative outlet. I started a series. I filmed it in here. I have amazing guests. We won a Telly Award. I'm on season 3. We just filmed season 3 last week over 4 days, 9 episodes. It's amazing, right? And the world. So in some ways, the world for artists, it opened up a new way to have a worldwide audience, right? So I always say you can be a proactive human or you can be a non-reactive human. And I've always been proactive. So I watched, I looked inside myself, found a new voice and put it out there to see what happened, because I wasn't afraid if it failed, because I've always been in the belief that it's at least you can say, I tried.
Yeah.
As opposed to, well, gee, I wonder if I missed it. So, I think it's been really hard. I mean, obviously we're all different, but it's been hard. But now as we come out of it and we are faced with breakthroughs, Broadway opened, Broadway closed, it's opening again. It's really hard to keep up with it. But, I've seen so much growth in so many of my friends in such a positive way because of we were faced every day with living, especially in New York City. Hello, we live in 750 square feet, a lot of us, or less. So how do you deal with the day to day when that's it? That's all you get. It's just you and your life. And I hope that people used it in a good way. I know it was hard, and I know a lot of people did. And for me, I know it became a big learning experience, a big experience of more fully becoming who I am as a human being, as a person, as Ray, what defined what Ray is. It confused people, but they asked, I don't get it. What's going on? Are you transitioning? No. Well, what are you doing? I'm just being me. Oh, okay. Okay. Then go be you. You look fantastic. You're beautiful. I wish I had your legs. So, I mean, for me, it's been the past 2 years has been a huge discovery for me, in a very positive way. Not easy, many tears, many frustrations. Luckily, I have a partner and a dog that loves me. So it's the worst way to find out about yourself, to have to live through a pandemic. But in many ways, it's been quite a gift. And I don't say that lightly. It's been life-changing for me. And if I go tomorrow, I would go knowing I lived my most authentic, true life that I could possibly live. And I hope that's, I hope it's good enough for the world. I hope that's, I hope the world sees it as a good thing. But I know it's just all that I know I can be. And I'm happy for that.
The Stoics call it memento mori. If we died tomorrow, all we would have lost is our actual present moment. And we must always meditate on that thought and live every moment with no regrets.
Yeah.
Holy
no regrets.
Smokies. Folks, I wish maybe we will put up the video version of this as well, so that the folks, if you're listening to this on audio, I encourage you to go over to our website. If you're listening through an app, go over to our website, 747club.org, and you'll see the video of this. This is a beautiful, manly man having a conversation about some of the most intimate and touching things that you could possibly imagine. And the good news is, folks, you have that capacity too. I know I can't come over there through this screen and bully y'all into living an authentic life. All Ray and I can do is just live ours and hope that you find some sense of connection and comfort in our vulnerability. It's why we keep doing what we do. Literally just go check out everything Ray does. You'll see 1,000 links in the comments below to his series, to his shows, to his Instagrams, to his everything under the sun. He is a man who's of and for the people, authentic, connected, brave, courageous. And we encourage you all to find pieces of your life that you can relate to what Ray was talking about. He's not the founder and CEO of a 10,000 person company. He doesn't have a go-to-market strategy for your next fundraising round, but you cannot grow and run your company and serve your team to the best of your ability if you're not authentically you. And I hope you found that out today. And that's what leadership is all about. Again, as I invited at the beginning of the podcast, if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, please do so right now. Share this with that friend who's teetering on their edge. I don't know what that edge may look like, but it might be scary for you to see them there. Share this with them. You will see.
And I hate to interrupt you because can I just say, first of all, I love listening to you speak.
You can.
There's a little bit of a turn on there, but because folks, he's cute as a devil. But it's interesting because I was just speaking to a friend who had a friend take their life.
Oh, fuck.
And their friend called them like 4 times the night they took their life. And that person also called other friends. And my friend just wasn't able to pick up. They were in meetings. They just couldn't. And they saw the call and they just clicked. Right. And we talked about it and they got very upset. Like it's like there was a fault. And I said, there was no fault. There was no fault. They obviously were they reaching out? They might've been just calling to say thanks, because many times people who commit suicide and take their lives, unfortunately, are at their happiest moment of their life because they finally feel they have control, right? So maybe they weren't really calling for help. Maybe they were just calling to make you laugh. Like to know that their last moments, they made you laugh. Like you don't know. So it's so important to understand that people in trouble rarely seem it.
Yeah. Fuck.
Which is why we have to be nice to each other as much as we can.
Y'all go out and practice these principles of gratitude. Go out and ask people how their day is going. Go ask these open-ended questions that keep people engaged and in conversation. They will feel listened to. They will feel heard. You gotta connect with people from the heart, because life is way too short to be doing anything otherwise. Ray, thank you for coming on. To all our listeners, thank you for keep coming back. To all the new people, fuck, I don't know what you think about us after this whole thing, but welcome to the journey. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
Share this podcast around. Keep coming back and tune in to the podcast archives of some pretty meaningful conversations with people that you can relate with. Keep tuning in. Hope y'all are having a phenomenal day on Earth. Remember, folks, it's your world. Go explore. And we'll see you next episode.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh shit. I don't have a thing. Nastrovia.